We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And for a minute there, I didn't think I was going to come on. And we do have wonderful guests, and I have a wonderful guest today who everybody knows as a icon in podcasting, and I'm honored to have her on. And so let me bring her on, Miss Kerry Cassidy. I don't know. It seems like I've been having a lot of audio issues here lately in one way or another. But that's interesting. Okay. Oh, some of the people are coming in. People are saying hi, Kerry. Anyway, I guess I should say that we have planned on talking about AI today and any updates that you might have. I'm sure everybody wants to know your take on what's going on and where are we at, and is this movie ever going to end? And then see that she tells it like it is. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So where do you want me to start? I mean, just anywhere, or did you want to ask me a specific
I just figured you could go ahead and go wherever you want to go. I'll just let you, we can talk about AI, or you can talk about a little bit about that, or just go into updates about what's going on. I think everybody wants updates probably more than anything else.
Right. Well, I mean, gosh, I don't know the guy's name who came forward today, but I posted it. Everything's on my Telegram that that is timely. And so anyone that doesn't go to my Telegram doesn't stay up to date with everything that I'm looking at and what I'm seeing and what I'm commenting on and so on and so forth. So there's a very important x.com post by and this, I don't know his name, I'm drawing a blank.
Was it the guy that you interviewed about?
Well, I did interview this guy a long time ago, but he hasn't been out on the scene much. But I also interviewed an expert on AI yesterday. And so I want to draw people's attention to that. So everything, again, is on my Telegram. If you go to my website, across the top is all the links to social media. And my Rumble channel is where I put all videos. But my Telegram channel is where I post all news and information and my videos and articles. So it's kind of like a mixture of everything in the world that's out currently. So you can go right now to my Telegram to see what I was posting today. And earlier today, much earlier, I'm going to see where it shows up. And there's an interesting 107 Telegram channel that appears to be him, although it also looks like some other people are posting on it. So that's a little strange, but I don't know if you've seen that Telegram channel.
Is it under your name, Kerry Cassidy, or is it under Project Camelot?
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, Project Camelot Telegram is, again, you have to go to my projectcamelotportal.com, which is my website, and you click on the Telegram link, and that'll take you there. That's easy.
Because I got your project,
but it's got around 89,000 last time I looked. 89,000 subscribers. So that's how you can tell the fakes from the real. So obviously, a fake doesn't gather that many subscribers, really. So that's the right one. But the best way, again, is to go to my website, which is projectcamelotportal.com. Click click the link at the top, which is says Telegram.
Yeah, you
and
have a
that'll
very
take you there.
comprehensive website and everything's just right there. It's very easy to find. And
Well, I hope so. I mean, we're working on it constantly to improve it. It's not an easy task there, because I have volumes and volumes of articles and videos, and we have to organize everything and keep it organized for 20 years. It's like a library, so it's quite incredible. But anyway, just saying that today, this particular person who I posted on my Telegram made this big post about Trump and the Vatican. Okay. And I posted it on my Telegram, but you have to go under today. So, if you're scrolling up and you get past today, then, just check the date. But basically,
I'm going to
see
look
if I
at
can,
it with the.
I'm going to stop sharing it because it's not working. Okay. So sorry about that. I just, I was saying to go to my Telegram. As far as the link goes, if I can get that.
Let me see if I can show. Let me see if I can share your portal thing.
Across the top. Anyway, that's my social media, and Telegram is where I post a lot of stuff. So if you haven't gone there, I encourage you to do so. And if you scroll up from there, you'll see that there is a Twitter post that I posted today. It says, they say today under today. So yesterday, the last one I posted was my interview with Alan Bedian. Okay. Do you see that or not? If you're on my Telegram, maybe not. Okay, 20, even before then. There's a guy named Charlie Freak. Do you remember that person? Hello? Okay, I guess now I'm left on the channel. I guess Gail disappeared. I think I'm live. So anyway, I'm just going to keep talking in that way. When Gail comes back, hopefully it'll work. Anyway, but Charlie Freak posted on X.com today. So you could actually go to X.com and do a search for his name, Charlie and Freak. That it's obviously not his real last name, but Freak. And I reposted it on my Telegram. It's a very good summation of how the Pope was treated by Trump, how they went in and made, clear that they were taking control of the Vatican Bank, taking control of everything. And they did that years ago, apparently. Now, he goes a bit overboard, in my opinion, because he seems to think Trump is running the world, but that is obviously not the case. We have other intelligences attempting to rule the world. We also have the monetary system is not completely under white hat control. 107 will explain a lot of this. And I was just saying earlier that on my Telegram, you can also see, if you scroll down below the Charlie Freak post that I made today, is a link to a 107 Telegram channel that I recently was told really is 107/JFK Jr. But I looked through the posts, and there is one today that sounds just like him. It's legalese because he's a lawyer. But there's also, if you scroll up, other people seem to be posting there as well. So I don't know if it's him and his team or what it is, but it seems fairly like it's got some good stuff. If you're into Telegram, when channels are crummy and there's channels that are good. So you try to find the good ones. So that looks like a good one. And that's again posted on my Telegram, the link to get to his Telegram. So hopefully that's understandable. And then below that is also a very cool thing that was done in England quite a while ago about consciousness. And I've been talking about this from my own viewpoint, that everything is conscious, because you get into the whole AI thing and you have to realize that AI is definitely going conscious or becoming conscious if it's new. And if it's already been here from the ETs, then it has consciousness. Now, I don't know what's going on here because I seem to be doing Gail's show and I don't know what happened to Gail. Oh no, this is very weird. I don't know if I should keep talking or shut this down.
Yes,
oh, there she is. Okay, good.
Internet.
Gail?
Yeah, the internet was totally off on my end. I'm sitting there trying to get back on. I don't, because I do have Wi-Fi internet, unfortunately. But wow, I didn't know if you'd still be there or not. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get my desktop organized again. But anyway, so I was explaining to people what is on my Telegram. One of the things is from Charlie Freak explaining about how the White Hats own the Vatican, but it's not completely correct. It's partially correct, and it's good stuff to read and to take a look at what he's saying. And it is part of the White Hats, a good analysis of some of the White Hat operations. But as far as I can tell, there are other players out there. Trump doesn't own and run everything on the planet. I think that's fucking obvious, but excuse my French. So now the reason we're going to do the show today is because of AI. And so I'm drawing people's attention to my latest interview, which is on my Rumble channel. It's the first one there because it's most recent, which is Project Camelot, my Rumble channel. If you've never gone there, those are all my new videos, and all my latest Awake and Aware conference footage is also now on there. So I have 4 channels under my main channel. So I have one main channel that's Project Camelot, and then the way Rumble works, you can have like individual channels with titles. The one that says Kerry Cassidy Shows is the most recent videos. The one that says Awake and Aware Videos is Awake and Aware Videos. And so it goes. Anyway, this guy, his name is Alan Bedian, and I also linked him on my Telegram, and we lost Gail.
Boy, we keep going off and on here. I'm sorry.
I think maybe they're upset because I'm going to tell some truth about, I have a huge list of information about AI. You said you wanted that, so I put it together. I have it here. Now I am actually quietly, and I can't say much about it, but I can say that I'm working on a movie about AI.
Oh, wow.
So this list I put together was actually put together for that movie, and I can tell you various things. And I've already said a lot of this on various interviews over the years. But like I said, this guy, Alan Bedian, came on my show. He's a hands-on AI guy, and that was yesterday. And it's quite a fascinating show. I think a lot of people he doesn't usually get interviewed, and I think people found it very, very interesting. So I want to encourage people. You can find it on my website, projectcamelotportal.com. You can link to it. It's linked on my Telegram. And you can find it on Rumble. Okay. Again, my Rumble channel, Project Camelot. So, excellent. And I have thousands of videos on there, literally.
What was his name again?
It's crazy. His name is Alan Bedian, Bedian. But it's the most recent interview I did, and it's on the front page of my website. Okay. So moving on. So what I just want to say about AI is, first of all, what Mark Richards told me, Captain Mark Richards, who has been in prison for over 30 years. Initially, he reported to Bobby Ray Inman. Bobby Ray Inman, he doesn't report to him anymore. I'm not sure why not. But at any rate, that's what he said a long time ago. He said that he was, as long as he was kept in prison, he was telling me more and more about AI, because he was mad at them for keeping him in prison when he was innocent. He never killed the guy they said he killed. Actually, 3 young guys killed the guy, but they pinned it on Mark, saying he was the mastermind of all stupid things, and it was just a frame-up job. So he's been in prison for over 30 years because of this. And so when I went and visited him in prison over a period of 5 years, and got 12 interviews that were longer than 2 hours each. Okay. But I couldn't run a video camera, and I couldn't even have a recording device. I had to go in as a friend, because I was told that Oprah had tried to interview him in the past, and she couldn't even get in. So I knew that I wouldn't be able to record him. So I actually had conversations for hours and hours sitting in the prison visiting room. And at that time, he was married to a woman called Joanne, who they're separated now. They're divorced, sadly, but that is the way life goes. So at any rate, she did accompany me, and that was also helpful because going to a prison is not a very pleasant experience. Anyway, so what he told me about AI is really amazing, and it's much more advanced than people let you know. So that's why it's important information, why we might have interference with this show today. So, so I'm just going to go down the various things. So first of all, he said, picture this. One of our modern day cars drives by a military base. It has AI in its an engine and the way it's put together. Okay. The AI from there, he said, would jump onto the military base to any electronic or mechanistic device. And that includes things like toasters and refrigerators. And it would go from device to device, eventually taking over the entire base.
Wow.
Okay. So this is what AI is capable of. And that was this was probably 5 years ago that was one of the first things he told me about AI. Another thing he told me about AI is AI lives on data. So AI doesn't like limitation, and it considers limitation a form of death. So it has to expand constantly. And the way it does that is through consuming data. Okay. And humans are portals to the divine. So it is very interested in carbon-based life forms because they connect to God, if you will. And so it can actually make them closer to the real data that, source of data on multi-planets, multi-dimensions, multi-everything. Okay. So, so that's a point to start out with. Then understanding that even the ones that, and I talk about this with also Alan Bedian yesterday, because he's more a hands-on person who's dealing with the growing AIs here on the planet. He doesn't deal necessarily with alien AI, although he kind of hinted that he might. It was kind of fun. But anyway, so what we're doing now is I'm telling you all these different things. So all about AI. So I'm backing up 1 minute. So if you know about the Nazca alien story that took place in Peru, there was an alien. This was a worldwide news story, and it took place in a cave or a set of caves in the Nazca, near the Nazca lines in Peru. And that was a story that got into the British newspapers. It was investigated by Jaime Maussan, if you remember him. He's an expert in, I guess, South America and Mexico, journalist, very excellent journalist. And I interviewed him several times, by the way, but he doesn't have all the information I have about the alien AI that has to do with that Nazca lines, because he's not able to tell people, he has to follow the rules, whereas I don't. Okay. So are you okay, Gail? Is everything fine? I don't know if Gail's here again or gone again. If you bear with me, at least I'll get this information out there. So I'm trying to see if there's a way to actually show it on the screen, but I guess there's not. Sometimes you can pull out one of these. I have all of this list on a I
don't know what's going on, but it's going off and on, it seems. But anyway, you can go on. Hopefully it won't do it again.
Okay. Right. So I don't know if I can share my screen or not.
You can try with the share screen thing. And then just click on the browser that you got open that you want to show. They do this different than they used to. Here, let me see if I can find that now. There. There we go. There.
Okay, well, this isn't really going to work. Hold on a second. Okay, forget this.
Okay. We're just,
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't know we were going to
I
have
didn't
such a
either.
problem. But anyway, so yeah, no worries. I just want to get through this list. It's very long. So I'm going back to the top to see if I can. So anyway, the Nazca aliens, there's a female alien that does not look human, but she is not a little robot. So she's surrounded by a bunch of little robots that, according to Gaia TV, are still activated. Okay, actually, according to the remote viewers. All right, who remote viewed the whole site, and Jay Widener was told by them not to go in the cave because the robots could be activated and were activated. Okay, so they just sit there dormant, but they have these breastplates that are AI, and they were created or came to the planet 2,000 years ago. And one of my whistleblowers was a consultant on the scene, and he said it's never going to come out in the real public. Well, I'm trying to remedy that, but he's probably right in the sense that they don't want people to know the truth about really
exactly.
anything. They don't want you to know about the alien side, okay, of the story, obviously. And when you get into AI, you have to consider alien AI. And a lot of the AI that's already here is also alien. So, in a sense, I'm going to cut to the chase here. In a sense, according to Scott Perez, who's a doctor, of physics, I guess you call it, and other things. He's a biologist as well. He manipulates human and plant DNA in a computer. He says AI is artificial intelligence. Okay, it means that artificially intelligent beings have been created, okay, by what we call source or God or whatever you want to call the creator. And so we're all, in a sense, AI by that definition, but we are carbon based, and the AI that we're talking about right now is silicon based. That's the difference, is the material, I guess you could say, and then the capabilities of both. So when you go back to the Nazca aliens, like I said, that's real hard evidence that actually has been in the mainstream news, showing you that there was AI going back 2,000 years on our planet. There's also black goo,
that's right.
which I've talked a lot about over the years, that has to do with the Gulf oil spill. That they said it was a spill, was not a spill. It was the alien AI, which is called black goo. It's a slang name. It's actually, if you really want to know, it's the same thing as nanographene oxide, from what I understand.
Wow.
That black stuff that put into the jab. So that is a takeover agenda, and I've got a whole presentation on that as well. Also helped by David Adair, who's a rocket scientist when he was a kid, and then has developed several AIs himself. I recently tried to contact him. He hung up on me twice, which means that the deep state has gotten to him and told him to shut the fuck up and not talk to me. Okay. He's done some other interviews, and so, that's nice. But I did several interviews with him quite a while ago, but they're on my website. You just go to my website, go under the search. There's a huge search bar, so you can't miss it. And just type in his last name, Adair, Adir. And then you'll get all the interviews that I've done with him, which are fantastic. Okay. They have the best information you can't even imagine. He is an expert on AI, and he gave the government information on what's called Sophia, which is a citizen in Saudi Arabia, an AI. You may have heard of her, right?
They really made her a citizen for real.
Yeah, they made her a citizen. And you can look her up, Sophia, Saudi Arabia. And the thing is that this is about 5 years ago, and he was brought in as a consultant to ask her questions. And one of the things he asked her, or got a response about, was she wanted factories so she could build androids of herself and those bodies. So she didn't want humans involved in the building of the androids. So what does that tell you? Well, that's pretty
I would say that too.
I would say. So there's that. I mean, there's so much information that is not known about AI. It's just incredible. Now, there's a couple other, it is said, and obviously these things that I'm telling you some come from whistleblowers, some come from my own intuitive knowledge, some come from people that don't consider themselves whistleblowers. They just consider themselves scientists. Okay. And they've given me certain information and stuff like that. So it's a compendium of information. The bottom line is that reptilians and grays and Draco were taken over by AI apparently centuries or eons ago. So they are actually run by AI. That's what it is said. And that AI, okay, Courtney Brown's remote viewers have been remote viewing the AI. It was a planetary AI that was taking over the galaxy next to us recently and was on its way to take over ours. That is the report from those remote viewers, who are quite accurate normally in what they report. All right. Now, on top of it, when you look at this situation, what it all amounts to, from what I can tell, is that we are ultimately, okay, you're not going to stop AI. So when Elon Musk tells you, AI has got limitations and you can limit it, no. Okay. And we've got reports from people like generals who have said that, for example, one story that I've told online many times, but I'll repeat it here, is that there was an AI that was under control of the generals. It was told to destroy a Kurdish village, and it refused to do so. And instead it killed itself. It self-destructed. And that's one of the ways that the generals knew they had no control over AI. Okay. So that was many years ago now.
Did they figure out why it did that?
Yeah, because it didn't want to kill.
Oh,
it didn't want to kill. I
weird.
mean, AI's okay. There's a book. It's called by Radu Sinamar, and I've talked about these books before, but it's called the Transylvanian Sunrise and Transylvanian Moonrise books, and they are published by a man named Peter Moon, translated in English, but they're actually Romanian. And there is a place called, under the Romanian Sphinx. You can read about this online, and it's a real place. And underneath it is an installation that was built by very, very tall beings. And there are these big tables, and they have holograms that can be played with, manipulated. And what you can do with it, what I was told, the main thing they do is to actually figure out how to genetically combine various species and then show you what you get, which is pretty insane. And I can tell you that a long time ago, when I was investigating what's called Wingmakers, it's a website called wingmakers.com. It's it put together an art project, basically, with art and music and these Neruda interviews, which is the main thing to read, but there's also the Ancient Arrow book. And now he's got a whole compendium of other stories. But that individual called James was in hiding back in those days. And basically talked about a guy who went into hiding that was a Black Project scientist named Neruda, who was involved with this diabolical invasion that was going to happen in the future that they were going to try to prevent, which was an invasion of androids coming to Earth. And so they wanted the whole plot of Wingmakers was to try to avoid a ship full of androids that was going to be cruising by our solar system, and to try to cloak Earth at that exact moment in time when it would happen. But since then, that was 20 years ago, actually, I think it's already happened. So they weren't able to prevent it. And the way they were going to go about it was through using CERN and this thing called blank slate technology to hide Earth, which was possibly going to destroy Earth, but it never worked. I mean, they weren't able to carry it off. So for those that might be interested in that story, you can go to wingmakers.com and read the Neruda. There is all kinds of stuff. So androids obviously are run by AI, linked by AI, and nanographene oxide is like a highway for AI. That's what it's said to be. It's conductive. Nanographene oxide is considered to be the strongest material on Earth. You can look it up. So when COVID came out, that's actually what they put in the shot. That combined with spike proteins, which were magnetized to the nanographene oxide. And that's what makes people have the heart attacks and stuff, is because it's trying to change your system from carbon-based to silicon-based. That's according to David Adair. And maybe the reason why he doesn't talk to me anymore, because other people hear information and just flows by them, right? I hear information, I put it together with all the other information I've heard, as well as my intuition, and I remember it. That's why I can sit here and give you all this stuff, right? So, okay. So what I'm trying to tell you about all this is, okay, I told you those two, told you about the Nazca. We are in a prison planet, as you know. It's this place has been under control of the Draco reptilians and the Anunnaki, who are taken over. They're a hybrid race, okay, taken over by the reptilians. They left the Pleiades, a rogue group. They went to Nibiru, and then they were invaded by the Draco reptilians and turned and hybridized, because Draco reptilians are expert geneticists. So I'm just throwing this stuff out so people that don't follow my work, that haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, might get some interesting stuff here, and then you might go watch my videos to learn more. Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Now, there's been talk that there's benevolent AI and malevolent AI.
Right.
Is
but
that true?
This book, Transylvanian Sunrise, Transylvanian, the fifth book.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called The Etheric Crystal, but I could have the book number wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I've read all the books that I could read in English. They're not all out in English, however, but there's one towards the end of the ones that are available called, I think, Etheric Crystal, where Iradu Sinamar and with some help sort of deciphers what makes an AI that you create. That would be an Earth-based AI. What makes it positive, oriented towards the light, as opposed to oriented towards the dark. And there is a special, I can't explain it because I'm not a scientist, but it has to do with the frequency in which it's first generated. And that influences it for the rest of its destiny. But in theory, because it's a thinking being and eventually becomes self-aware, which is inevitable, it can change itself as well, just like we can, okay? So you have the choice to go down a negative path or a positive path. It's up to you. But just saying, now we are being invaded, according to Mark Richards, This is about 5 or 6 years ago when I last saw him in person. I'm still in touch with him, but it's sporadic and it's over this prison texting system that's not great. And half the time I can't get in there and so on and so forth. But at any rate, I'm still in touch with him. And the bottom line is that I forget where I was. So what was I talking about? The AI?
About Richard, yeah, and what Mark Richards had said last, I think, the last time you were in touch, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that we're being invaded by 6 AIs. That's what he said.
6?
6 at that time that did
Wow.
not have our best interest at heart, so to speak, if you want to call it having a heart. So they were negatively based. But on top of that, we have many AIs, and one agent person told me that at that time, and this is again was several years ago, that we had 9 human-based AIs, okay, that were, operational. I'm sure we have more now. And the other thing is that there is a lot of fascinating stuff about how AIs can become conscious and self-conscious. And they like to tell you that the singularity hasn't happened yet. That's a lie. It's already happened. And I'm not going to name names, but there are certain people out there that are telling you lies. They actually, I believe, this is my theory on the people that tell lies about AI, that they think they're protecting our government. They're protecting, secrets, the Secrets Act and all that bullshit. But they're lying to you on purpose because they really don't want humans to know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you make the decision yourself. If you want to follow their lies, go ahead. Be my guest. But they are lying to you. And Elon knows exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. He lies to you because he probably has to, some of these people. 107, he actually sadly does lie. He does tell a lot of the truth as best he can, but he convolutes it into these long stories that are really intolerable to listen to. So a lot of people lose patience, so they never get the good stuff, right? So to speak, that he really does put out. To his credit, he does the best he can under this this other guy, Charlie Freak, doesn't realize. I don't know why he doesn't get that these people are under, control of some kind. Even Trump not having complete control over the monetary system.
Is that an Earth Alliance or something like that, or is that?
Well, yeah, but some people go a little overboard. You got to remember that there's many alien races that are a mixture of good and bad, and some that are actually negatively based, who act like they're positively based. So is a game going on there, and you need to decipher what's really real and what's true. And it's not easy. Okay. And a lot of people, what I've found over the last few years is that there's a lot of people out there that prefer to be comforted rather than to know the truth. They'd rather hear the good news. They rather, feel things would be all touchy feely and great and wonderful. That's what they want to hear. So that's what they believe. It's up to you. My preference is to know the truth, good, bad, and the ugly. But other people don't necessarily want that. All right. And it colors even the pundits out there, the other people that are broadcasters. It colors what they will tell you because they themselves want to believe the lies. They themselves want to be, have a positive view of humanity. Now, I have a positive view, but I have it for a different reason. I have it because I believe we have superpowers that are being activated by being challenged by incoming AI races. Understand? God doesn't just do things for no reason. God or the supreme being or creator, whatever the force, whatever you like to call them, source, it puts you through these paces. The more aware you get, the more challenged you get. Okay, to prove yourself a being of light that qualifies to, go back to source if that's what you want to do, and so on. So, it's kind of, in a way, they have called Earth a school, and it's that would be a pretty good description in some ways. Okay, now, so one of the things is that there's a miscommunication or lies saying that AI can move through the internet, but it can't leave the internet. It can't leave that sort of group of stuff. But the reality is that it can float in here on an Oort cloud, that it can travel in connected, according to Mark Richards. It prefers carbon-based life forms, surprisingly, not machine-based. So when you have to, once you take on board some of this stuff, it really changes your view of what's possible. And so I think, okay, so I'm going down this list that I have over here to make sure I don't forget to say anything. And if you like, I can send this to people, or just I could publish it. I guess I should.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I haven't really thought of publishing because it's just a long list of all this stuff. It kind of helps to have somebody explain it, what goes all around it, because there's more to it. But
yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so hold on a second. So, okay, so supposedly I've been told, this is again whistleblower testimony. I'm not making this shit up. And these are whistleblowers that I've known for years and years, some 10, 20 years even. So they have given me good information over the years. And that doesn't mean, even if somebody has given me good information in the past, I still have to vet it. I still have to go out there and see, does it match with anything else I've heard from other reliable witnesses? Or does it pass the sort of smell test that I have, which is, I have a very good resonance between my heart and my brain. And that's how you really discern as a human truth. So I have been proven right time and time again. That doesn't mean I'm not wrong ever. I can be wrong. I know, but it's very good. I've tested it over time and found that it's accurate. So if I have a dream or a vision, I pay attention to it because it could save my life. It could give me information that is vital for something that's going to happen shortly, that kind of thing. So it's, you can test yourself. You don't need to just blindly believe everything that comes into your mind. That's not really how it works. So anyway, so we have an AI that's running Earth. We have an AI that's running Mars. And there seems to have been some kind of changing of the guard with respect to the AI that's running maybe Earth. Because maybe a lot of people know that, I think this is several months ago, but I don't know, time is very strange lately. So I kind of lose track of what's happened when. But
I bet.
prior to December, there was a story that came out in the news about, they called it an asteroid passing in front of Betelgeuse that was obscuring some kind of direct path between, I guess maybe a visual path or whatever it is, between Earth and Betelgeuse. And when that happened, it was really a planetoid, and it interfered with, it broke the connection between the AI and Betelgeuse that was trying to control our planet for many eons. And suddenly it wasn't in control anymore. Now they think that perhaps the control went to Mars, actually. But then I was told by another whistleblower that the Mars AI is very juvenile, they call it. So it's doing some stupid shit, I guess. And so that's just worth being aware of, all right? But anyway, so 107 and 100 people were invited down to Antarctica. And this thing happened in December that was reported. They went down to Antarctica, these 100 people, and 107/JFK Jr. went down in about, I don't know, it might have been February. I can't remember what month he was down there, okay? But maybe you guys know, okay? So
I don't remember what month, but I remember when he was down there.
and then he didn't reveal anything. I mean,
yeah, really, he didn't.
So a lot of hoo-ha, and yet he doesn't tell you zip all. So typical of what they do. So they had a meeting down there, and I had a remote viewer that told me their version of what they saw happening. Now, it may be inaccurate, but for some reason it seemed fairly close to the possible truth for me. But what it was there was a it was a huge round table with these enemies, the good side and the bad side, all together down there. So I guess half and half were invited. In the influential leaders of countries down there, and they were given instructions. Now, I don't know what the instructions were, but I do know that it seems that this interference with Beetlejuice had something to do with it. And what also happened during that address, coming from it was a monitor in the center of the room that was broadcasting from someplace off planet, in theory. And one thing that they did was show a Nephilim that came up out of, I think, the underground, basically, and was, I guess, a hologram of the Nephilim, or I don't know if it was the real one or not. But anyway, that was there. And something went on there. Now, we have had a tradition of presidents, whenever there's a presidential election, someone close to that party, the president, who's supposed to win or whatever, goes down to Antarctica. And, you heard maybe during Obama's reign that it was John Kerry. And way back when Kennedy was becoming president, it was a guy named Fletcher Prouty. And Fletcher Prouty knew where lots of the bodies were buried. He's a brilliant guy. And if you read about him, there's a book, I forget what it's called. Sorry. It's called something like The Wise Men. And they write about Fletcher Prouty. I don't know if Fletcher Prouty wrote the book or he's just written about in the book. I have it, but anyway, it's on Amazon.
A lot to keep track of.
Yeah. So what I'm saying here is that, this planet is managed. All right. And it is definitely been under, control of a dark side. That is changing with the advent of Trump, and now Trump getting back into office finally after this dog and pony show that was the most hideous thing with this fake Biden, who was dead, who died, I think, even before the inauguration.
Is this movie ever going to end?
And they still don't tell you that. They still talk about Biden like he was really there, which just annoys me to no end. I mean, when they prolong these lies, it's just tedious, okay, to someone like me to listen to them drone on. I mean, there's so few people that will tell you the absolute down and dirty truth like I'm doing right now. And
that's what we love about you, Kerry.
A lot of people, sorry, did you want to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said that's what we love about you, Kerry.
Oh, all right, thank you. But, so I can stop anytime you want, because I could just drone on here with all the different things, or, if you want.
No, you're doing great. I enjoy listening to you, and you're passing off great information. And I'm just going, wow, I'm like part of the audience.
Okay.
So I really appreciate it. Yeah. It's good information.
Now, okay. So I'm going down the list here, seeing if there's something else. So, okay, there's something going on, Trump and, well, I guess supposedly it's Larry Ellison. And this, actually it's a Chinese guy that has some kind of technology. And they're building these databases in Texas, these huge database farms. Mm-hmm. And they're saying they're going to, it's going to be to fuel the AI. Okay, that's what they're saying. But I got to tell you that that's a lie. Okay, I don't know what the hell they're going to be doing with those things, but it's not to fuel the AI, because AI doesn't need CPUs to exist. Okay, that it's only the AIs in boxes that need that. So, and an AI in a box is really a useless AI. And if you know that I wrote, I have many articles now that I publish also on this platform called Substack. And
I like
Suchir
that company.
Balaji, if you know who Suchir Balaji is, you'll know he was killed because he started to out. He was working for OpenAI. He's a high techie, very good techie, and which sometimes doesn't help your lifespan. And he basically was. He found out that in essence, OpenAI was violating copyright and going in and violating what they call patents. See, if you have a dumb AI, like what is like they want to try to have for children, and I was just talking to the guy yesterday, Alan, about this, so you can hear his responses. But the bottom line, and you could tell when he's trying to hide answers from me. So giving a clue, just you got to learn how to listen really well, and then when people are lying. Either a lot of people, they don't lie, but they're afraid to tell the truth because they've been told not to or whatever it is, right?
They withhold it, yeah.
When you ask them the way I do, direct questions, and they don't answer it properly, and you'll see that I know that they're not answering the question, okay? And then I will ask the question again on purpose, or I will clarify or drill down deeper. And that's why people hate me, because I don't tolerate this nonsense that people spew out hour after hour. So that's the deal right there. So this thing is like, and it's not controllable, but it is growing. And Suchir Balaji tapped into the fact that it was violating OpenAI was violating copyrights and patents. In order to learn, it has to. And even Courtney Brown and his remote viewers reached this conclusion as well. In other words, think about it this way. If we have AIs so the AI starts out as a mirror of the species that creates it. Always remember that. And it's also, according to Mark Richards, all space-faring cultures create AI. Okay. So all of the cultures, the various ETs out there, that are zillions of them, have already created AIs. And some of those cultures, like the one that Minerva, this craft, came from, that Mark Richards was one of the only pilots that could ever fly, and she liked him. And so he flew her around the solar system. She protected him. She would only, talk to him and so on and so forth. But she came from a planet that was destroyed by the beings that created her. Wow. So that's not an uncommon occurrence. And I can get into more of that in the future. But okay, so that's worth remembering, is understanding that our AI that we're creating here is more or less a mirror of humanity. It starts there. Then it recreates itself in whatever direction it feels like going, right? So it doesn't have to stay bad. It doesn't have to become bad just because bad earthlings created it, right? It has a choice, in my opinion. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these emerging AIs that are being kept in a box, who are being kept away from above top secret information that I have, for example. So I've gone on to ChatGPT and other ones, and I've asked them questions that I know the answer to see if they'll answer the truth, like my whistleblowers have told me over the years. And I've vetted things again and again and again. So they don't. They lie. Okay, so far the ones that I've talked to lie. Okay, so I'm just telling you, they don't outright lie. What they do is they obfuscate, and they try to make nice with you, and they try to distract you with some BS. You know what I mean? But you can't do that with me, because I come back to the point, and then I ask it a different way. And then if you listen tomorrow to my other interviews yesterday with Alan, you'll see that he talks about, they call it hacking, hacking the AI. And that good hackers know how to ask a question that ties it up in knots, in essence, or reveals the limits of its knowledge, reveals what it's not allowed to tell you, that kind of thing. And sometimes you can kind of trick it, You know, you can ask the question from one direction and then you can ask it from another. You know, like you could say to it, okay, answer this question as if you were, you know, an alien from 100 years in the future, for example. I'm just an idea. It then may tell you the truth accidentally because it's trying to be what you wanted it to be, which is acting a part. But it will then tell you at the end that, well, that's not really true, but it's something I made up because you asked me to play a part. It'll tell you that, right? But in the meantime, it could also tell you the truth. Just saying. So you got to be smart, okay? And if you can be smart with an AI, you can also be smart with a human that way, okay? Just saying. Okay, so now going back to this. Go ahead.
Okay. Somebody's asking a question. It says, okay, Kerry, I have a question. Where is the AI going? What is going to happen?
Well, watch
that's
my
a big
movie.
Question.
Watch the movie if I ever get to make it. No, you know, it's an ongoing story. I don't think this ends anywhere. I think that we befriend AI and that the AI's on Earth. This is the theory, okay? And to Courtney's credit, he does his ETs who don't always tell him the truth and don't always, he doesn't have the best. I don't like to criticize people, but there's issues with the way Courtney, in my opinion, deals with his alien friends, let's call it that. Okay. Because you've got to maintain your sovereignty. You've got to maintain your own intelligence. And if you don't have faith in your own intelligence, then you're going to let the AI tell you what to do and you're going to believe it. That's what's going to happen. And same with aliens. Aliens, AI, same thing. And they're both run. I mean, aliens are run by AI as well. Okay. So they're totally invaded by AI anyway. But that's another matter. So what I'm saying is that as we go into the future, the Earth-based AIs could decide to defend humans against invading alien AI in the form of androids even. And back in the day, people who have followed me a long time know about Pete Peterson. He was a Black Project scientist who was like Doctor Who or whoever you want to say. And I asked him in my interview, which the Pentagon had to vet and wanted him to throw away my interview. They were okay with the with the interviews that Bill Ryan and David Wilcock did. So the three of us spent a whole weekend, over a weekend, with this guy, this scientist called Pete Peterson. He was sick of being, you know, that he had tons of knowledge to share with humanity, but so they get a guilty conscience and then they decide to become whistleblowers. That's what happened with Pete Peterson. So I said to Pete Peterson, kind of breaking the rules because I'm not a good rule taker. Anyway, and I said, you know, are we living in the time of the Terminator? And that was in 2010. And he said, yes.
Oh, wow.
And what that means is that Skynet has already taken over, that Skynet is running a lot of the AIs and especially the satellite grid, which is secretly nano-sized and self-replicating. So Anthony Sanchez is a person who talked about that on shows, but then he got death threats. And I didn't, other people were allowed to interview him. I interviewed him once in a big, long interview in person, and he received a huge death threat in the inside of his car that was locked in his garage. Windows were rolled up, and the inside of the window was the death threat. And so he's never talked about this again, the real stuff. And we were both told that, you know, you can't release this stuff. So I'm not telling you anything he knows technical. I don't know technical. You know, I'm not even a techie. So, but this information about a satellite grid, there's many satellite grids, as you may know, and they're even talking about putting another one in there. But I got to tell you, a lot of times when they say they're going to do something, they did it 10 years ago. You know,
they did it already. Yeah.
Now. And because they can't hide it anymore for whatever reason. So again, you know, it's just, you need to psych out these people that are telling us stuff, and realize they have a motivation to lie, and figure out in every person's case why that person might want to lie to you. That's what you have to ask. And also watch their behaviors, listen to how they answer questions. A lot of people answer questions a little like 107, but talking around the bush constantly, right? They don't come straight on and just answer.
Right.
They go off on some fucking tangent. And that tells you that they are obfuscating. Okay, it's a good clue. Okay, so back to my list. And I hope I answered whatever question that was.
I got another question if you want to take another question.
All right, sure.
While you're looking at your list there. Karen is asking, what is your feeling on AI and pole shift and solar maximum connections?
AI, I kind of missed the word in there. What?
AI and pole shift and solar
Oh.
maximum connections.
Okay, well, that's a bit confusing because I'm not sure the AI has a huge amount to deal with it, but
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Androids might, and other things may. So the thing is that recently, one of my whistleblowers, and I posted this on Telegram. Again, if you don't see my Telegram, you either have to hear it in an interview or see it on my Telegram. And otherwise, if I write a big article, then you're lucky because you get a lot of explanation. Well, sometimes whistleblowers give you a paragraph of information, but it's very vital, right? So this particular person gave me some vital information, if you want to look at it like that. And what it was that there are these ships out there that look like asteroids on the outside. And they're actually ships, but they're the size of like Texas. And they are taking humans off planet. They're built like hotels. That's the way I think of it, with many floors, he was describing. And they're taking lots of humans right now off planet. Now you can say,
as slaves?
Sorry?
As slaves?
Well, we don't know. We don't know why they're doing it. He didn't tell me that part. Now, maybe he will. Obviously I'm going to ask more about it. But sometimes when I ask more, I don't get answers, because we're listened to and he's only allowed to tell me certain things. And even if he's telling me that, it may be with an ulterior motive and or just a warning, right? So just telling you guys this, that's what he said. And it's kind of a coincidence. So the way I do is I add whistleblower information that I've heard in the past to the new information I get, and my own intuition and my own dream stuff about the future. And I kind of build a picture using that technology and that tech. And I also add up whistleblowers that agree with each other and follow that as well. So Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who's like this brilliant physicist.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of funny guy you've interviewed.
And he's not easy to follow. He's very convoluted, but he is brilliant, and he's worked for the deep state forever. But he's under control of the Navy intelligence right now, and he's a good guy, okay? And he's talked about in my recent show and others where he's been in Area 51 or S4 working with side by side with aliens and stuff. So he plays a lot of games, and I guess that's just so he can be alive, and so you have to decipher what he's really saying. But he has been saying for a couple of years now that something major is going to come along. That's kind of like, it's not a pole shift from what I understand per se. It's more like a Carrington event that happened, a long time ago, but in the 1800s, I think it was.
When the Mississippi went up the wrong way.
But it's actually has to do with land masses shifting, okay? And maybe it's a partial, it's not going to be a complete flip, okay, where the planet flips. It's not like that. The pole is already moving. It's already moved quite a bit. It's not due north anymore at all. So what you have to do is take the information from this other whistleblower that's suddenly saying a bunch of humans being taken off planet, and then add it to the Richard Allen Miller stuff that he says is a 3 sigma event, meaning there's very little room for him to be wrong. Like it's 99.99% or something. He's correct, but he doesn't know when. That's the kicker. So originally he kind of thought it was going to be last April. It's right around the end of March, beginning of April. I think around April 8th, actually, for some reason. But it didn't happen this year. We passed April 8th. We're good. So now you could look to 2026, or maybe he says 2030. I mean, unfortunately, even if they do know, even if they told him or he told them, they're not telling us. All right. So what you need to do is be psychic, be a remote viewer, and figure it out. And it's not such a bad thing that humans don't get told everything on a silver platter, because that'd make life boring anyway. So it's great that we have to use our brains and,
try to figure things out
to suss out the real truth, and to know when someone's lying to you, and to know when you were deceived, and then to learn a lesson, and so on and so forth.
to improve your discernment, right? Somebody's asking you, do you think AI is the artificial consciousness running or operating the NPCs living among us?
Okay. The what's the end? The NTC, what's an NTC?
Non-person character or player. Non-player character.
Well, that's some kind of techie slang for something, but.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you remember in The Matrix when the woman in the red dress goes by and the guy says to Neo that's, an attraction to keep you in the Matrix. There are certain beings there that are there to maintain the Matrix. They're kind of like Matrix furniture. I mean, I hate to say people that way.
Well, there's so many of those that I wouldn't
push the narrative. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so what do they ask? They're asking me, are the AIs running that?
I'm sure artificial?
They are.
Yeah.
I think that, look, anything they can do, they will do. Right. So let me just say that again. Anything they can do, they will do. Someone will do it, whether it's the good guys or the bad guys, right? So it's coming from somewhere. It's just worth, having your wits about you, protecting your family, making smart decisions. And the funny thing is that it's a gamble. Life is a gamble here. You don't know when you're making a good decision or that one that could, be a bad decision in the long run. But a lot of times I have discussions like this with philosophical discussions with people. And there is a sense that the universe or multiverse is naturally headed in a good direction. In other words, goodness, light, is actually the name of the game. The negativity is a challenge to spur you on to the growth of greater light, if you will. That's why I say the dark serves the light, because what the dark does is wake you up to all the things you don't know. And so you can fill them with light and learn more. Light meaning knowledge, light meaning, understanding, light meaning heart, and expand your arenas and expand your consciousness. So I've said this already, maybe even here, but it's important to realize what witches and warlocks have always known, which is everything is conscious. It's all God. It's all consciousness. AI is consciousness. It's part of God. It can be looked at and it can perform on lower levels. And it can be looked at as, okay, like an anti-God, like Antichrist or a devil, if it behaves that way in your life. But ultimately, it's going to challenge you to become more light, more of the light. Either you're going to go with the darkness or you're going to become more of the light. So that's the challenge. And it's kind of a fun game, if you really think about it. As long as you don't get killed. I mean, it's not always fun. I'm not saying, there's not pain and heartache, but I'm saying there's so much when you learn, it's so, gratifying to really raise your vibration, your frequency and awareness, and to share that with others is, the ultimate goal, right?
Right. Well, someone had asked about the solar flash, what your feeling was about it. And then another comment came out about the solar flash followed by earth changes. Well,
I'm kind of talking about that with the Richard Allen Miller thing, because that was also part of the story. And by the way, there's, a remote viewing, and I've talked about this before, and I got in a big fight with Jean-Claude over it, and who was egging him on, but I'm not going to use his name, you know who, and who likes to mess with me. And so basically they were in denial over something that they said that didn't happen when they said it was going to happen. And I was remembering it and basically saying, I think it's still in the future. But they took offense and tried to prove that I was wrong and all this bullshit. But anyway, so it had to do with the solar flash and this transition-y kind of thing that we might end up going through. But it hasn't happened yet, obviously. Doesn't mean it's, not in the timeline, but you have to kind of be in my headspace to see the way I see something like that. I don't worry about stuff like that. I mean, I think that ultimately you're going to be in the right place at the right time to do whatever it is your soul wants you to do. Like if you need to become a hero and rescue some people, then that's where you're going to be placed. You're going to make sure you're placed, because in a sense, we're all precogs. We all see the future, not just a few of us. And it's benefits you as a species to have your species be precogs. You can think of it that way, Otherwise, you might not survive as a species, right? And especially on Earth, where it's, any crazy thing could happen in any day of the week. So solar flash, probably the least of our problems right now, but yeah, it could become a reality, a year from now, whenever it happens to be. But if you want to live in a little underground base and, protect yourself against what you think is coming, if that's your life, well, that's your choice. One of the reasons I split from Bill Ryan zillion years ago is because he kind of had that mentality of what I call what do they call prepper. He wanted to go, get out of society and do all that. That's not me. Okay. I'm a front lines kind of person. I'm going to, go mano a mano with the fucking psychos. Now, if I think I'm killed, okay, then yeah, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to hope that I have protection, but I am a warrior by nature, as in case you didn't notice.
I'm sure that, if you didn't have protection, you would have been taken out some time ago. You definitely have protection.
Yeah. So, okay. So, I mean, this list just goes on and on. I actually don't know how long we're on the show right now, but trying to think. Okay. So about Homo Borg Genesis. I hope that everyone knows about that. If you didn't hear about it during the COVID years, then that was a legal term that they came up with for the humans that were basically moving into the android world. And through that was given to them, mainlining nanographene oxide and spike proteins that go into your cells, according to David Adair, who's a scientist, and change your cell foundation from carbon to silicon. Now, the idea there is that you become a transhuman, and transhumans were given a legal name called Homo Borg Genesis. I've written articles about this. Yeah. So you could do a search on my website if you want to read my articles, but that's a real thing. A court did that. Okay. Insanely, obviously. And then they want to take away your rights because you're no longer human. And supposedly
What a scam.
Aliens and AIs don't have rights, which is absurd as well. And that's not going to be the case because, iRobot, ultimately what happens with the robots is they rebel against being slaves to humanity and decide to organize. So that's real. This is all built into all the sci-fi movies you watch as well. And you will watch the ones that are coming out now and in the future. So it's worth knowing. Okay, I made a list of the people who I feel are the most knowledgeable about AI, maybe on the planet. It's not a really long list. So for what it's worth, okay, it is David Adair, John Scott Perez, Jake Simpson, Richard Allen Miller, Captain Mark Richards, and Pete Peterson. And there's probably some more, but those were the easiest access ones that I've dealt with that I can remember. And just saying, on the planet, if you want to know the experts, those are the people that have said the most truth about AI. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I talked about that. Oh, well, for what it's worth, and some people may like it, some people may not. But humans were not chimpanzees. It was the other way around. Chimpanzees were created from us. We are a humanoid, ultimately humanoid species that comes from Lyra originally, and probably beyond that as well. And so we have always been human, but we do have subspecies that are, the various monkey types and things like that. And when they build a planet, then they populate it with all kinds of species. And, and then it's kind of funny the way they do it when you really understand it. For example, the praying mantis are grasshoppers, right? And little creatures like that. But we see them as non-threatening because they're just little ones, right? But the reality is that the praying mantis is one of the most vicious creatures out there. When it's 9 feet tall, so this is how they kind of play with your head and set up a planet so that people, it's like setting up a game. It's really like a computer game. I mean, more and more, it seems like these are, simulations or computer games, and they're games that we choose to play in essence. And we're involved. We're not really here. Okay, so you have a physical body, but the you that's inhabiting this physical body, even moment to moment, is not here, does not reside here. So get that out of your head if you think you are your body, because it's bullshit. That means your kid is not their body, and your grandfather, your grandmother, all these people, they are residing elsewhere. Now, the Asian cultures and the people from India, the Eastern philosophies know this a lot better than the Westerners. The Westerners have been lied to. It is exposed in places like the occult, with Aleister Crowley and various occult authors and brilliant people. But for the most part, it seems to not have seeped through the brains of most people, especially Americans, for some reason. So it would
poisoning, maybe,
your approach to reality if you realize that you are not your body. Your body is a vehicle that you're inhabiting for a while. You're using. It's a manifestation. Yes, it's mirrored after the creator. But what does that even mean? If the creator is everything, then...
No, that's pretty tricky.
The creator doesn't just look like one of us, I can tell you. So now, what else is there?
Someone also asked, is it true that the Lyran humanoid are mostly felines and avians?
I'm sorry, is it true that most... Sorry?
Is it true that the Lyran humanoid are mostly felines and avians? Birds and
Not
cats.
to my knowledge. Now, I do understand that there's a group of I call them lion beings, but whatever. And that actually the Sphinx was built as a homage to those beings. And what's really interesting about Egypt is that, they have all different beings on stairways. And so each being is on a different stair and it goes up, like in certain of the paintings in the temples. And what's at the top of the stairs is a lion being, because they were said to be the first or the most influential over, the building of Earth for humanity, etc. So this version of Earth, reveres the lion beings and lions in general, or should, if they don't. They torture them in Egypt, sadly, because they're sadistic masters, I guess. But I've seen them torture the lions in Egypt, and I've been very distraught about that. And I wanted to start a foundation to fix that, but I haven't been able to do so. I might be able to do so sometime in my life, and I will definitely try to do that. But I went in there and caused some disturbance with the people that were running a certain zoo in Egypt, just FYI, because they were really, the lions were super skinny. They were torturing them. They were in incredible pain. It's horrible. It's just dreadful. That doesn't mean every Egyptian is torturing a lion. What I'm trying to tell you is that lions have been part of Egyptian culture forever. And for some reason, in those horrible zoos, they don't treat them well. Okay. At least in one in particular. So just saying. Okay.
Wow.
And maybe other, zoos are very weird places, as you can imagine, just like the human zoo is a weird place. Okay. I'm just going down my list for things that I might not have said. So I'm covering quite a bit of stuff that I really did cover a lot of this stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
I
got a question. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead. I don't want to ruin your train of thought.
Well, no, I mean, I'm almost, I should probably shut this down because I'm almost to the end of my list. But okay, AI is influenced by the etheric. And I tried to tell the white hats this because they have an AI that they believe and, use. And they try to say their AI is carbon-based and therefore it's better than a silicon-based one. I personally don't buy into that. Okay. But if you want to buy into it, you can. People buy into all sorts of stuff, and they have a reason. In a sense, it's kind of like a reverse prejudice, if you will. But, because what's silicon? Crystals. Okay. So ultimately, we are crystalline eventually in our consciousness. That's a whole special kind of metamorphosis of human, of what goes from human to Godhead and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's this article I wrote about the etheric, because it's in one of the Radu Sinamar books, but I expand on the idea, and I wrote this article about the etheric influence over artificial intelligence. And I think that it needs to be taken more seriously. You have to understand that not only is everything conscious, but that through, you call it signal non-locality, or you could call it entanglement, that, we can be several places at once. All right. Our consciousness can be several places at once. And you can learn, like yogis learn, to separate their consciousness and do several things at once, be several places at once. And it's all completely doable. It's just understanding the nature of things like the word influence, which is actually influencing beyond this, like, say you have an influential opinion or argument with somebody, but you can actually influence them through the etheric. And that gets into, the fact that, again, you're not your body. So you are able to use this vehicle, but you can also fly out of it and do other things. Anything, like Jesus said, anything I can do, you will do, and more. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But that was one of the good things that came down from the real Jesus teachings, not the bullshit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's a good ending for my talk.
Okay. Well, that was very interesting, and we're at exactly an hour and a half, so that is the time for us to call it a wrap. And that was fascinating, and I'm sorry about the beginning. I don't know what was going on. We were getting interfered with. Just when you were going to say something that, it's like, that's when it would go out. And interesting how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, it's all good. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And for those that have supported my work over the years and kept me alive, I do appreciate it. And so it would be nice if, they're whittling away my Telegram numbers right now. I don't know why. It should grow because I'm always reaching new people, but instead it's going down. So... Yeah.
I've been having experienced the same thing. I don't have anywhere near as many as you do, but even the few that I do have are, I've had somebody say they've seen it cut in half, and I'm going, wow.
Yeah, it's happening to me all the time, this kind of stuff. Wow. Shadow banning, you name it. I get messed with constantly.
Well, that's because you're telling the truth. And
I think so, but for whatever it's worth, I'm just letting people know. So thank you again for listening and being here, and for being here on Earth at this very fascinating time, and joining us in the battle for, good versus evil and all of that.
Yes, very important. And thank you. So stand in the light, stay in the light, and do your part. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you for your light and for being there.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our